Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Santita Jackson Show, AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota. It is a joy to be with you today. What a moment we are in as we're talking about really the fallout behind the killing of Brian Thompson, the CEO of the nation's largest health insurance company. And really, they've broadened out into health care. This is a multi-billion-dollar company, and the denial, the coverage denial rate for the industry is 16%. Theirs is twice that. And you've got to become a super sleuth, everybody, to find that out. Because the industry zealously guards that information. They don't want you to know, A, how much they deny you coverage when you buy your policy. And they really don't want you to know how much money they make off of you when they deny you the policy, because that's how they make the money. So let's talk about that, because the corporate media are framing Americans who have expressed their pain, their sense of betrayal. The New York Times called it a torrent of rage. And if you look at the corporate media, they cannot believe that people are glorying in this man's death. This is in such poor taste. That is not what they're doing. If you listen to them, many of them start with the caveat that I do not sign on to violence. However, let me tell you how I have been violated by these insurance companies, or my mother, or my father, or my brother, or my sister, or my loved one, my husband, my wife, my partner, my cousin, my dear friend. The stories, people are being denied treatment, people are being denied medication, people are having to live in pain, people are having to die unnecessarily. And we need to be honest about that, but that is not what you're hearing in corporate media. So I want you, Robert, everybody, pass this show along. I am on X at Santita J, or the Santita Jackson Show. I'm also on Blue Sky. I can't believe it. And I did it myself, everybody. That's right, at Santita Jackson .bsky.social. Boom. And then I am on the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel and the Santita Jackson and Friends page. Everyone, please join me on the Santita Jackson and Friends Facebook page. No other page. Please, please, please. That's the only place I can accept friends. And I really want to talk with you. I want to engage with you there. I'm really working to do more of that in social media, because I think it's important for us to talk about this. Um, because when we look at the election of 2024 and we look at Trump and the fact that he is our president elect, so much of these 2016, 2008, 2000, look, the 2000s have been, we've had a building sense of anger, a building sense of betrayal. Now, most Americans do not trust either of the three branches of government. Most Americans do not trust the institutions that have tremendous power in our lives. And when you see the pain out here, when you hear people tell their stories, I think what's happening, Daryl Jones, chair of the Transformative Justice Coalition, brilliant lawyer, and you, Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds, head of the Black Legislative Caucus, you are seeing, and Dwight McKee's down there hiding in the chat. You see a lot of anger, you see a lot of pain, you see a lot of betrayal. I don't see what people would call the Schadenfreude, which is, glorying in someone else's downfall. No. But I have to tell you, when I first heard of the killing of Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Health, I knew that it was a hit, and I knew that it was about healthcare. People in too much pain. And a lot of people feel that They're feeling some kind of way about all of it. And I think we need to talk about it. I think we need to do that. And while saying and really just establishing that no one is signing on to violence. No, murder is wrong, period. Because now, whatever you feel about Brian Thompson, or should I say the policies of his company, because we don't know him, we do know that he's a husband. Yes, he and his wife were estranged, but that was still her husband. And he has two sons, and they are without him this Christmas and forevermore. And no amount of money that he made will make up for his physical absence. And we're not going to resolve anything by killing people. We're not. But some folks got this got some folks' attention. And when you see the internet sleuths, I was reading Daryl Jones. Of course, we can hear you on WOL on Tuesdays at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. The internet sleuths are saying, yeah, well, I'm not going to help you find him. Because you can see the police are saying, and you're a former prosecutor, so let me start with you. They're saying, wait a minute, how we can't find him, but we know who he is. Yeah, y'all know who he is. But some people are not giving him up. Let's keep it 100, Daryl. New York City, the metropolitan area, has 8 to 10 million people in it. You don't just slip through New York. This is one of the most surveilled cities on earth. Some people have seen him and they've not seen him. Because when I saw that article on the internet sleuths, I said, wow, these people, they said, if I see him, I'm not going to tell you. There's a lot of hurt out here. And this is socially unsustainable. Daryl Jones, you have to undo all this brilliance on mute. Y'all got me.
You're absolutely you're absolutely correct, Santita. There's a lot of hurt and there's a lot of anger, and when you start talking about people's health care and people's families and their own personal health care, and not funding and denying health care coverage, making people suffer, making people not experience the procedures that are medically necessary because of a non-doctor's decision that it is not in their financial interests to fund it. It taps into not just, there's an anger that's there that's uncontrollable, that becomes a rage. You're very upset with the system that these folks have been paying into. And then when it's time for them to have the need for what they've paid into every month for years, it doesn't deliver. And they have to watch their loved ones suffer. And that's what you hear happening. It's not that they're gloating over the shooting, but they are finally feeling that their anger is now being felt, is now being understood, and it's being delivered. And that, I think, is the point of what folks are saying when they're saying, I'm not going to turn them in. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to assist the system that has denied my loved one. That's what I think that we're tapping into, and that's what America is seeing right now, Santita.
But Daryl, I mean, because you're seeing at least, well, they say 3 of the shell casings of the bullets had in permanent marker what delay, deny, defend. Now, no one, they certainly did see deny, and deny and depose, deny and depose. And there were rumors about defend, but it's a book by Jay Feinman, an attorney who really talked about the how the healthcare industry has scammed us. And in fact, you can't find the book anywhere. It is on pre-order. It is the biggest book in America right now that no one can get. You can get it on Kindle, but you can't get it anyplace else. People want to read this book. Something is shifted. State Representative Ron Reynolds, what do you think?
Well, Santita, I agree with the sentiments that you laid out earlier, and Daryl. Violence is never the solution. Violence is when people don't know how to, when they're so frustrated that they don't know what to do. But that's no excuse. There's never an excuse to take, even if it's justified, unless it's self-defense, then it's not an answer or a solution to a problem. Having said that, I do think that these insurance companies, and this is no slight to the CEO at all. This is broadly, big picture. Insurance companies are in the business of profits for their shareholders, their stockholders. And so they have a policy that they will deny, unfortunately, as many claims, even legitimate ones, that they can, because it is about profit for them. The more claims that they deny while they still collect the premiums, the more money and profits they have for their shareholders. So unfortunately, a lot of times it seems as though they devalue human life because they deny these treatment and these procedures that people desperately need. So I think that we need to re-examine governance from a standpoint of accountability with insurance companies, because they have policies that are designed on what they call, like assumption of the risk, and they basically bet on more healthy people never having claims, and then so it's a complicated process, but basically they bet on denying taking in more premiums, and then they invest that money that they have, it's invested in the stock market,
Wait a
and
minute,
so they
there are
don't.
investment firms
Yeah,
who use our money.
they use our money. Correct.
It's because they make more money, right?
Correct.
When they deny our
When they
claims.
deny our claims. So the system is designed for them to game the system. And so I think that we don't celebrate the death, the murder, the assassination of the United CEO. My condolences go out to him and his family on that loss, that brutal, tragic situation. And I think that we can separate the two, where we can say, yes, this is a very tragic situation that never should have happened. And at the same time, we can have a healthy conversation and dialogue about the pattern and practices that these insurance companies employ to the detriment of the American citizens. And I think that it's up to Congress to continue to come up with legislation, because their can't insurance is federally regulated by Congress, that they come up with federal regulations to protect the American people, to ensure that we don't have these kind of uh, policies that really are detrimental to people's health and safety. And so, yes, I think we should take a deep dive and find out what is at the root of these insurance companies and how they're governing and how they're basically in business. I mean, we do that and we regulate other industries. I think that we should make sure that we regulate the insurance companies, and make sure that there's fair dealing.
Well, I mean, what? But I'm when you see the anger, right? I mean, because they called it a torrent of hate. That was the headline in the New York Times as they talked about this. If you saw the article, um, Dr. Steffi Woolhandler, who is one of the nation's leading advocates for single payer. She has been for decades. In fact, she and her husband, Dr. David Himmelstein, were part of a team of doctors who helped to write Reverend Jesse Jackson's national single payer platform in 1984. But their activism predates that time. In fact, President Obama's um, personal physician, who's based here in Chicago, he's part of Physicians for a National Health Program, major proponents of single payer, right? Um, and we thought that we were going to get basically the single payer system when we got President Obama. There was tremendous pressure exerted upon him. And the insurance industry wrote the ACA. I mean, it was basically a conservative program anyway, because it was really Romney Care, which came from the Heritage Foundation, which was a paper in 1989. And so it never really moved from that. And so the insurance companies have become more profitable than ever before, and Americans are broker and broken. And we're not supposed to say anything about it. We're supposed to be quiet and I guess and just take this. Representative Reynolds, I mean, do we have any recourse? I mean, is there anything? I mean, is this something that legislators are talking about?
It's something that the legislators should be talking about. And you're right, Santita, the insurance company, they wrote that legislation. And I'm not saying that in a negative, I'm saying that it's a factual, but that is somewhat common in industry where you have, but it shouldn't be where they're writing laws that benefit them to the detriment of the American people, to the end user, to the consumer. I think that's the problem. They have very powerful lobbyists, and there's undue influence that just like the gun lobby, the NRA and the gun lobby has undue influence on Congress, so does the insurance industry, right? And they give out, because it's the cost of doing business, it's much cheaper for them to deny claims and then litigate it. If a person has the will to go and hire a Daryl Jones and pay out of pocket cost to litigate it, it's cheaper for them in those rare cases to do with that. And it's also cheaper for them to pay campaign contributions to members of Congress so that they can curry favor to write favorable pieces of legislation. So we need more watchdogs. We need more transparency. We need more accountability to make sure that we are not allowing the insurance industry to do anything to the detriment of the insured. That is us as the American people. And that happens so often, whether it's so many treatments. And one of the things that Congress can do is they can put in more safeguards, more tools, more regulations. But the insurance company obviously don't want that because then they're gonna have to pay out more claims. So I think there should be more emphasis on accountability, transparency, and a insurance bill of rights for the American people to protect them. And obviously, you can't prevent people from being frustrated, but if they have rules and that are fair and that are equitable, I think most American people will feel better about it. But right now, I don't feel that that's the case. We did see one of the major insurance companies come out as a result of this and change one of their major policies.
Oh, well, wait a minute. Go back and tell them what happened. Because Anthem Blue Cross came up with a policy that was so onerous. Because they changed it the day the man was killed. Come on now.
I know.
What did they do?
Well, yeah, I don't think it was just a coincidence, Santita. I think they said, maybe they're going to start looking at what we're doing, and they want to quickly be proactive than necessarily reactive, right?
Wait a minute. They were going to limit your anesthesia in surgery.
I know.
Wait a minute.
I know. I know.
Hold on. Wait a minute. State representative.
It's outrageous.
Help me. What are you mean to tell me if my surgery takes longer than 2 hours, these people were they were pushing for a policy.
They were.
We're not going to pay for any more anesthesia. The anesthesiologists were up in arms. They were like, "Are you serious right now? You can't. What is somebody supposed to wake up from surgery? Mm-hmm. What are you doing to me? I mean, are you for real?" And they rescinded it right after this man was killed. They didn't rescind it before. They've been trying to push this down the pipeline for a long time. It came out that day, and we were like, "What? You're going to what? Come on! How can that? I mean, I know it's legal because they did it, but it's not ethical."
It's unconscionable. That's what I mean. It should shock the conscious. All of us should be where we are outraged by that to say, you know what? We need more. Congress should say, what the hell is going on with these insurance companies? They have they having committees that have oversight over this, so they get this intel, right? That's a fact. At the state legislative level, we have an insurance committee that governs state insurance. So there's state and then there's federal. Federal trumps everything. So we need to make sure that we don't allow our members of Congress to be bought and paid for by the insurance industry to the detriment of the American people, period. And re-examine these outrageous exclusions, these loopholes, any little red herring fine print to exclude a claim and deny it so that a person has coverage, but they're not able to utilize that coverage when they need it the most, right? And so that is what we should be examining and re-examining and have the experts come up with policies and procedures. And then we need to make sure that that is happening. I will say this: it's very unlikely, and not that we should never fight. So let me say that, but it's very unlikely that we're going to see that kind of reform happen under the Trump administration because the people that he has running his cabinet are billionaires and multi millionaires that only are out of not only out of touch with the middle class or the working class or the poor, but even just regular rich folks. I mean, these are the wealthiest people in the country and in the world that he has assembled on his cabinet. So I don't think they're going to be empathetic to the plight. I think these are the same people that have investments with Blue Cross Blue Shield, with United, because they trade on the stock market. And these are the same people that are making billions of dollars off of the insurance industry, just like they're making it when people go to war. War is big business for Elon Musk and others who have
And for
defense contracts.
Democrats and baby for Democrats too.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
I mean, I'm saying
No, absolutely.
they're all doing it. We have
Santita,
been
that's a fact.
we
All
have
I was
been
saying was it's unlikely to see change with the next administration. We didn't see it this administration. I'm only saying
yeah.
that I think that when
Oh,
you're
he's assembled a whole lot of people who are billionaires. But you know what? Quietly, the billionaires, we saw that they run the American political process.
true,
We saw that. We saw
true,
that on all sides. And that is what is so dangerous because they let us know you can throw out 14 million votes. I supported Kamala Harris. I think she did a heck of a job with running up against some headwinds, and because that's beginning to come out now. That's another story we're going to do, okay? Because she had to take Biden's team, and it's so clear that President Biden, of course, he didn't want to be put off the ticket. He resented it. And it's very clear now that she was undermined. And I think we need just put it out there. Just stop this. We got to talk about it. Because it makes it too hard for the next young black kid who tries to come down the pike, the next young woman. It's like, stop. And even with this, trying to get health, we need a single payer system. You need Medicare for all the time. I don't know about you, but I've gotten ill overseas. And the doctors come to you, they will come to you if you're really not feeling well. And but of course I was over there working. And I went to pay and they looked at me like I was crazy. They said, no, 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 no. I mean, you're sick, I'm taking care of you. Hey, here's the medicine. God bless. That was it. In America, if you don't have any money, women are doing self exams, or they're knowing something is wrong. And you know what? Representative Reynolds and Attorney Jones, they're saying, you know what? Never mind. I'm not going to get I don't have the money.
Mm-hmm.
People are not getting the medicine they need, or they're having to not take it as prescribed, which means you're not really taking it properly at all because they can't afford it. And now you've got people complaining about it, and they're the ones who are being put on the rack.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is awful. Well, I mean, when I'm looking at corporate media, I want to throw my shoe at my boot at the TV. I don't want to mess up my TV though. I'm looking at them. Hey, not gonna mess up my stuff, but I'm very frustrated because the sympathy is not with the people who have lost loved ones, who've been very sick, who tell you I had stage 4 cancer, and I was back and forth with my insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get approved for this. That. Some people, I saw someone who had to interrupt her cancer treatment since she just passed because there was a lapse in her coverage. And knowing, even though the coverage was about to be picked back up, the insurance company was unforgiving. They were like, well, we just have to wait until it comes back up. We're like, she's dying. She needs chemo every day. She was taking some form of treatment every day. They were not going to give her any space. Talk to me, y'all. I mean, how's that supposed to work?
No, I mean, you're right on point, Santita. And I think that one of the sad parts of this is that when we think of what was happening with the anesthesia, where they were not going to permit you to go beyond a certain point with the anesthesia, they were no longer going to pay for it once you reached their limit. That's not medically prescribed limit, but their business decided limit as to how much anesthesia you should have. One of the big issues is, but for this killing, we wouldn't know about this that existed. This program, and there's got to be some triggering mechanism for the people, right? That protects the people, so that when policies and regulations like this are coming down, there's got to be something that's put in place that gives the government the ability to then step in and try to protect the consumer, the person that's not going to be sitting there watching all of the legislation, all of the regulations, all of the business decisions that are going down. Oftentimes, we the individuals end up depending on state legislatures or federal legislatures because we think that's what they're going to do. They have our best interest at heart. We know with the incoming administration, they're against regulation. They're going to say, you have at it. It's your business. You do your thing. And so at that point, then we start, being focused on state legislators and hoping that perhaps, but somehow in the state, they can wrangle and be certain that our rights are protected as the consumers of healthcare that we're paying into. What becomes even worse in my mind, Santita, and I'm listening to the story you're laying out with regards to the person that needed to have the chemo every day. Can you imagine if you're that person and you don't have an advocate in your corner? You don't have an advocate you are it. You have to fight for whatever you can get from the health insurance company on your own. You don't have a loved one. You don't have a sibling. You don't have a spouse to do that for you. If you're alone in that situation, what do? Your person that's going through her chemotherapy, she's not strong enough to wage that battle on her own. Well, this is why there should be something that's in place to be certain that the consumers, those of us who are paying into it, and we're not following the regulations, we're not following all the administrative stuff that's out there. We need to be something that's in place that protects us. and it's not there. And and it's becoming less on the federal level, given the administration that's coming in. And to be clear, as you've indicated, this piece that happened with Brian Thompson and all the denials, my bet is that this happened under the Biden administration. It didn't happen prior to that administration. So it's not Democrat or Republican. This is consumer based. This, when the Democrats talk about the working class, the working people, this is it. This is the issue. This is the connection that's there. And the question is, how do you seize on it to be certain that people are taken care of and that their needs are met, and so that they don't have to try to follow and fight to these policies that are deny, and hoping that by denying you'll go away. You'll go away. You'll stop. You'll stop. Because if you stop and go away, we benefit financially. We just want to frustrate you to the point that you don't come after us and try to get the coverage, the medicine, the help that you need. That's what they're doing. And that's the frustration that you're seeing tapped into as a result of this murder and all that's going on in New York City.
It's horrible. I mean, and guess what? I said the internet sleuths, before you go, Representative Ron Reynolds, they're saying, I'm not going to help you find him. I saw that story in Daily Mail. I think I might have sent it to you. They said, we're not going to help you find him. Because people are like, they're like, oh my gosh, how is he evading capture? I said, these folks are letting this joker go. Because Americans are feeling some kind of way about everything. Let's just keep this 100. That's what the Trump vote was about. It wasn't even about him. It's about, do you remember the movie Network? I'm mad as HE double hockey sticks, and I'm not going to take it anymore. This guy stuck his head out. He just before he died, he won his Oscar posthumously for that. He said, come on, everybody, stick your heads out the window. Tell everybody you're mad as blank, and you're just not going to take it anymore. And I see Americans moving in that direction. And with the corporate media, Representative Reynolds, before you go, trying to shut down the discussion, or trying to mischaracterize the discussion as these people gleefully exulting in this man's death. I said, that is not what they're doing. They say, you know what? Okay, they have said they've been snarky. They said, well, pending prior approval, I'm going to withhold my tears. They said things like that make you go, whoa, wow. They said, well, but then they tell you why. Let me tell you what happened to me. My mama died. My daddy died. Brother, sister. I had cancer. But this, that, and the third. I had to I had to roll. I was on the phone. This woman said I was on the phone for 2 days. She said I was very pregnant and very sick. Representative Reynolds, is there a legislative remedy?
There is, Santita, and I'm glad that distinguished attorney Daryl Jones was describing is a business model of deny, and let's see if the person is persistent to appeal throughout the mechanisms to get the claim approved or paid. And that is a business model that is basically to the detriment of the person who is not of means or in a fragile health state, that they don't even feel like fighting and they just give up. And the insurance company is betting on those millions of Americans that are going to be frustrated and say, well, you know what, forget it. I guess I won't worry about this. And then they'll cover it out of pocket or not get the coverage at all and not get the treatment at all. And so, yes, Santita, there is remedies, there are solutions, but that would take, and this old cliche, an act of Congress. And that's literally what it would take. It would take
the state legislature.
Yeah, or the state legislatures at the state level. And so I will say that both sides have been definitely complicit. But I will say, as a general policy, Republicans have a rule of what they call free, let the market decide, free enterprise, less regulation. And so they're unlikely
Oh,
uh,
this is horrible.
hold-
What you're doing.
to hold the insurance industry accountable and to put more stringent regulation on them, which the insurance company is going to say, I've heard it before, it's unduly burdensome. It's going to raise the cost of insurance. They're going to have to push that on to the consumer. This is going to hurt business. This is going to cut jobs because they can't afford to pay their CEO $30 million, right? So they fire low level people that work for the insurance industry. So this is the shell game. This is what's happening. And I do want to say one final thing, Santita, that we didn't talk about. How dare the people said that it was a light skinned person that was the accused shooter. It wasn't no light skinned
Wait a
person.
minute. The ultimate high yellow privilege. I'm like, are you serious? Yeah, I put it out there.
Right,
No, I keep it 100 here. Are you serious?
right,
I mean, no, wait a minute. You find out that J. Edgar Hoover is bizarre and sick. He's got issues. Suddenly, you find his black lineage. Y'all knew he was black all along because if you look at the color pictures of him, you see he's olive colored with kinky hair. So look, no. I told a friend of mine, no, I was saying it was Roger Ailes at Fox. He said, well, he's supposed to have black blood. I said, no. Y'all keep him. Oh, no. I didn't say no. I said no. And yeah, I said this to him because I could talk to him this way. I said, no, you keep him. I said, he worked for you all this time. You keep him. Don't bring him to me. I said, because he didn't even want to be over here. He's light skinned. Are you serious?
right.
What
That
did
was
you say
offensive.
when you saw that? Did you go, are you serious?
I y'all, I mean, y'all. I was like, stop it. Just cut it out. You know,
Wait a minute.
this.
Keen featured, not that there are not black people who look like white folks for
Right,
real.
right,
Okay?
right.
But he ain't the one. I'm
He
like,
ain't the one. Yeah, I just had to get that out there because I was like, come on,
oh,
y'all,
why?
really?
Because you're on this show and I can say crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
well, well, it defied the eyes. Okay, who you gonna believe, me or your lying eyes? You know, that's the old, like. I mean, come on, like seriously. So yeah, I just had to get that off my chest because I thought it was ridiculous,
And,
absurd.
and you could do it here. How about that?
I love this show. I love this show. All right, y'all. Thank y'all.
Sending
All right,
you so
take care.
much love. That's right. Robert Williams said he was light skinned. I'm
But
like, really? What is that? I mean, but it lets you know the deceit in the corporate media. And I want us to look at that. And they look and they wonder why and how it is that we do not trust them. I'm like, because you're not worthy of my trust. That's how. That's why. You're not worthy of it. Because every time I turn around, I mean, you do something like this. You're lying on these people. I'm reading their comments.
mhm.
I'm reading their comments. And I'm also looking at this man in this behind when he dropped his mask. He does not look like he is light. He looks white skinned.
Right.
And I don't care what color he was who did it, but it is the data shows that black people kill in passion. White people tend to calculate. And it's a cultural thing. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it doesn't make me look, everybody's got their own thing, everybody. So get over it, okay? Get over it.
Yeah,
At the end of the
Santita,
day, it's the human experience, okay?
and Santita, my big piece with that is, why are they trying to put that spin in there? Are they trying to spin it away from the anger that the people have with regards to the
And give it
denial,
to me.
and
They're
and,
trying
and,
to
and say this is really a race thing?
what Susan, what was her name who drowned her children?
Oh, in Boston, yes,
No. This was in South Carolina because they always do this.
over the bridge, yes.
Yeah, the black guy did it, and it's like, no, no, sweetie, you killed your children because you had a boyfriend, and you did. These children were an impediment. I mean, whew, and now you what? I mean, just but all I mean, all of it is just they're grabbing at straws, Daryl, instead of dealing with the real issue. When you see this torrent of anger out here
Mhm.
and disappointment, and more than that, underneath it all is a sense of betrayal. Socially, that is unsustainable.
Mhm.
People do not. You've got to be very careful because everybody's got a breaking point. What did John Kennedy say? Those who make nonviolent revolution impossible, to paraphrase him, they make violent revolution inevitable. It's just to
Mhm.
paraphrase him. You got
Mhm.
to be very, very careful because a lot of people living from payday to Monday.
Yeah.
I mean, folks out here, Americans are hurting. That's what this election was about. And you're not going to tell me that this gap was closed like this. No, something, no, 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 no. This man won and he won. He did win.
Mhm.
And he won convincingly
Mhm.
because he won in too many places for you to tell me that it was this narrow an election. I'm sorry. Just stop it. Stop. Stop. Deal with the anger of people because now Black people are accustomed to feeling disappointed and feeling let down and being betrayed, quite frankly. This is new in the white American experience.
Mhm.
American experience, white American experience. They came here having been betrayed, looking for another shot, and I'm not mad at them because living up under monarchy to me is horrifying. Horrifying. I work and I owe everything to you. I can't even own my house. Are you serious? I mean, one of these wealth reports came out in England just a few weeks ago, and you saw that while King Charles and Prince William are walking around shaking hands and having these royal walkabouts, they're really inspecting their land. That's what they're doing. They're inspecting their land because all of you little peons are in peonage and you're working for them.
Mhm.
Because in England, you cannot own the land, you can own your house. And people and Americans do not, do not like that. We are averse to that. I mean, Americans are a different group. That's why people have fought so hard to try and undermine this American experiment. Because we really are a different kind of people.
Mhm.
We became the biggest, baddest people on the block, of course, stolen land, enslaved people, but we did it without a monarchy. Monarchies exist all over the world, but not here. We're not going to have it. I mean, Harry and Meghan, okay, it's wonderful. But you know, this Duke and Duchess thing, okay, that works over there. That does not work here. We don't do that here. I mean, bless your heart. No, honey, we don't do that here. See, and you're still an American. So actually, it's not legal for you to be a royal and an American.
Mhm.
It's in the Constitution. I know that part. I mean, I know that part. Am I wrong? You
Oh
can't
no,
hold
no,
those
yeah,
titles.
no,
Okay.
no, no. You're 100% on point. And you know what's going to be interesting is to watch what now develops from this story. You know, do they find the guy? I don't know. I would assume that based on all the technology and all they have going on, something's going to happen. I think there's like a $10,000 award that they're
Well, they
rewarded.
lifted it, and you know what they said? They said maybe he's going to commit suicide. No, no, no. This Joker doesn't want to commit suicide. When they saw how he left his backpack in Central Park, I said, "Oh, no, no, no!" And he left Monopoly money in there. No, he's playing a
Hmm.
game with y'all.
Right.
He thought this through, and he
Hmm.
had help doing it because he
Hmm.
knew what this guy was going to. He knew what this man was going to be.
Right.
There's just too much information he had, and you have too many angry people out here, too many people who have had to fight with these companies because you got to have insurance. It's just like driving a car, I guess. I've not
Hmm.
had experience, but you got to have insurance. But you buy the insurance, and whatever insurance you have does not cover what you need. You got to get secondary insurance,
Mm-hmm.
which costs. Because I've had to do that. It's like, okay, no, because these co-pays. Well, no, on the other side, you get these ghost bills.
Mm-hmm. Right. And don't forget about the deductibles, right? You also have the deductibles that you also have to pay in order to receive the coverage. For them to put up their 80%, you've got to cover 20% or whatever the percentages may be. But if you are a family that's struggling, if you are an individual that's struggling financially, this is just really creating a mental health issue for you that of stress that is unconscionable. And I think that what we're seeing now, and what's going to be interesting to see, is how does this develop? Does this murder now bring insurance information, health insurance information, to the forefront,
What do you
such
see?
that
What do you see?
the question is, will American people let go of what has happened? Will we have that 60-second memory of this incident, or will it have legs? Will it be able to carry on? Will it make a policy difference? I think that it can have the possibility of making that policy difference. I don't know that it comes from the federal government, though. I think that it's going to be like Representative Reynolds and others that are in the state legislatures can also play that role. And so it's going to be incumbent upon the people. Right now, we're all angry. We're very upset. The question is, how do we now channel that to a solution, to a resolution to the problem what we're dealing with health insurance companies? And that's where I think the rubber's going to meet the road, is how we then channel that. How do we get elected officials on board to start monitoring this anesthesiologist and the and the 2-hour limit, or whatever the limit is that they're saying that you can't. How do we monitor all this? We individually can't do it, but there are collective boards that can do it. And the question is, how do we get them to enforce it?
Well, it's the anger. First of all, we have to flip this around. They work for me. They work for you. And the thing is, our civil rights organizations and civil liberties organizations lobby for us.
Right.
See, that corridor, K Street corridor in Washington, D.C., that's not where all the lobbyists are.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to get serious about paying for our advocates, because it costs money. Okay? So all of these civil rights organizations, you need to indemnify them. Civil rights, civil liberties, all of that. Because they are lobbying for you. They're lobbying on your behalf.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I mean, and that's just it. That's just where it is. Because at the end of the day, getting them on board with no. This is what I sent you to do. And Americans are going to have to be very active and say, and channel this and say, you know what? First of all, they need to challenge, not first of all, among the things that they need to do is challenge corporate media to get the story right.
Right.
Stop
Absolutely.
vilifying me because I dared raise my voice and tell you how this corporation how this industry has violated me.
Mm-hmm.
How dare you do that to me? And Americans need to know that they are somebody. And they don't deserve this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, wait, no. First of all, y'all get the story right. And stop getting these pundits who are useless. Mm-hmm. They're useless. You're not on there. They're useless.
Mm-hmm.
And no, they're actually doing their job. They're shaping a narrative. And you know what? Now, CNN had 13.3 million people 2020 election night. They had a little more than 800,000. Now people cutting these salaries. MSNBC's about to get sold. Yeah, because guess what? No one trusts you.
Mm-hmm.
And they shouldn't, because you're not worthy of trust. I mean, all of them. All of them. People are I turn to independent media.
Mm-hmm.
On the right and the left and the center and the outside of all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because at least they're directing me to a story and I'm hearing different opinions. See, I'm not afraid, Attorney Jones, of hearing opinions that are contrary to my own.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I joined Fox News, one of several of the right wing news sites that I read, and I read them because I was also trained. My father was hated when I was a child. He was extremely controversial. And my mother did not shield us from that. She said, "No, you need to know what they're saying.
Hmm.
I don't want you to be broken by it. No, If we've had a bad day publicly, you're gonna be in school the next day. You're not gonna stay home. You're gonna keep on going, and you're gonna take these hits, and you will be stronger for it." And she was right.
Hmm.
So that having been said, we have to make some decisions about who we are, and what's going to work here.
Hmm.
We've got to stop these people from running roughshod over us. The narrative is wrong. This narrative is off, Daryl. This is
Hmm.
horrible. What they're doing is terrible. It's terrible. And they are lying on these people. These people are not dancing in the streets celebrating someone's murder. They're not doing that. They're saying, "Wait a minute, look at me. Do you know what this industry has done to me?"
Hmm.
And you all want me to feel badly for someone. I mean, wait a minute. This is an industry that if I'm shot, I'm gonna get stuck with a five-figure bill,
Right.
and I can't even pay my rent.
Yeah. Yeah. And these are times, Santita, where senators like Bernie Sanders should be stepping up, right? And talking about if we had the single payer and the independent, how everybody should have
And we
insurance.
have to support him.
And, right, and we've got to support them. And one of the other things that should be happening across the nation is that congressional representatives, state representatives, they should be holding field hearings right now to find out what it is that's happening with the constituents across the country with their health care insurance. What are the experiences? I
Mhm.
can put together legislation once I understand what's happening. But if you keep a deaf ear and you just and you're being paid by the lobbyists for the insurance companies, such that you are not at that point willing to put forward legislation. People need to know that too. But it's so important that field hearings occur so that everyone is aware, more people are aware of what the experience is of the individual and when they're dealing with these health insurance companies. And that's the only way, one of the only ways I think that meaningful legislation is brought forward is when you have people that are coming out to make the public statements that more people become familiar with it, more people hear it, more people then can start taking action and try to resolve the issues that are there. It can even have the response, the conclusion of having people that are then decide to run for office based on these issues, because that's
Absolutely.
what this is about. This is about the people and what the people are experiencing and trying to resolve what's happening with them. United Healthcare isn't the only one, but they're the ones right now that are the poster child for it. And they've
Because they're
got
the
to be,
biggest. They're the
because they're the
biggest,
biggest.
and they have the
What
price
was
in
it?
denial.
Was it 49 million people? Some 49 million people have it. It's over a $200 billion industry. Yeah, yeah. It needs to be brought in. There should be congressional hearings. Bring in those folks to tell them and to testify before Congress about what's going on and the denials and what they were trying to do and what's been accomplished and what's happening to the everyday average American as a result of the actions of these health insurance companies. That needs to happen. That needs to happen.
I mean, immediately, because people can't take any more. I mean, as I've been looking at these posts, as I'm watching this man evade capture, and I'm not saying that he'll be able to evade it forever, but to be able to slip through New York City.
Mm-hmm.
When did this happen? Wednesday, Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, some people are letting him through. When I saw the Daily Mail article, and I'll post it, everybody, I'll post it on Twitter and on Blue Sky, that the internet sleuths are saying, "I'm not going to help you find him."
Mm-hmm.
Nah, I'm not going to do that. I said, "Hey, you all need to understand where people are right now. I mean, it took me a long time to figure out Bonnie and Clyde, right? And Robin Hood. You know, I was like, oh, wait, steal from the rich, give to the poor. Again, I am not saying that murder is ever justified. Nah, not gonna do that. This man's sons
Hmm.
are in, and his wife, the grief I cannot even imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kids tell daddy goodbye. See you when you get back. Get ready for Christmas. Wow, my
And
heart
to
broke.
add to that, Santita, is that, can you imagine, you're the spouse, you're the brother, you're, related to this gentleman, and then you're constantly seeing the image of it played over and
Oh
over
no,
and
no.
over again. They show the gunman coming up behind him. They show they show all of it. This is your loved one. This is your loved one. I mean, it's horrible. And so I feel sorry for the family, but I also feel sorry for the anger and what has created the anger that I suspect may have caused this gentleman to do this.
Oh, I feel for the people who died because they haven't been covered
Yes,
adequately
absolutely.
because they've been denied.
Yes.
I,
Mm.
for what about people who couldn't get the pain meds that they needed? I mean, if they're going to deny you anesthesia, what are they already doing? Are
Mhm.
they limiting your pain meds? The data has already shown that the medical establishment feels that Black people don't feel pain to the same degree that white people do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, I mean, that already happens. This system is rife with so much abuse. It's just sin. You don't treat people this way. No, you don't kill somebody. But I'm sorry that it took this man, the loss of this man's life, for us to get the attention of the nation.
Mhm.
We're the only industrialized nation that is doing this, and we're the richest. We're privatizing everything. You want to privatize Social Security. So I guess Ezekiel Emanuel, who helped write ACA, who said that you should not get you should not get life-saving care after 75. Remember that article that he wrote?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And this man wrote the ACA. He was one of the architects of it. What? Who are you people? My mama's 80. I'm gonna tell you what. If something happens to her, everything we're not gonna spare an expense to try and keep my mama here, and my daddy too. You nuts? My grandmother had a stroke at 87. We got her. Thank God we were able to get into the best facility for strokes in the country. Thank God, yeah. And we were very blessed and privileged to be able to do so. But there was no expense spared to keep my grandmother around, and it preserved her life for another 4 years.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I'm
And
grateful.
no, you're absolutely right. And Santita, one of the best reads I have come across when dealing with medical care and racism is the book Medical Apartheid.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
oh my goodness, it
I
just.
was on Dr. Michelle Goodwin, who has a book that you should read. It's called Body Parts.
Mhm.
It's in the same. She's one of the top health law experts in the world. Black woman, brilliant. It's the same in the same lineage. That medical apartheid will blow your mind. But when you think of what was done on the plantations to us, gynecology was built on black women. Black women were operated on without anesthesia.
Right, because they
Or
didn't have pain, didn't feel pain, they had a high
they
pain
didn't
tolerance.
even care. If you did, I don't care if you felt the pain. I want to get this done. Look, stop it. All this abuse, it has to stop. And nobody is going to do this but us. We keep waiting on someone to make this right. Stop it. You're the one who makes this right. You're the one you're waiting for. On the day that you decide that you are somebody and that you will not be treated like a nobody, and there's nothing that God has made that is relevant. Nothing. You need to stop. And you need to treat yourself with the regard that God has for you. God knows every hair on your head. God knows everything about you, knows every molecule in your body, down to the quark. That's the smallest measure that a human being can quantify. This is horrible.
Mhm.
My heart bleeds for the Thompsons, but it bleeds for the tens of thousands, millions of people who've been abused by the system, who buy a policy in good faith,
Mhm.
and they're betrayed. They're turned down, like you said, by people who are not even physicians, or physicians who've been bought off.
Mhm.
And they've not just been bought off because they're awful, mean people. They've been bought off because sometimes they've been threatened. We
Mhm.
saw that happen during the pandemic. If you don't play, you don't get paid. Stop. And we need to stop this, because these are our lives here. It's our health. What if someone denied you pain medication?
Mhm.
Hmm? But they're gonna stop giving. They eat the fact that they would contemplate not giving you enough anesthesia when you're in the middle of surgery. These people are wicked. This is evil. And you need to call it evil. My pastor said there is such a thing as wickedness. There is such a thing as evil. And that's what this is. And you ought to just stand up for God and not let this happen. Not right, Daryl. This is wrong. I
And
didn't
don't
say
forget,
wrong.
Santita, that
Yes.
when we talked about them withholding the anesthesia at a particular point in time, when they decided you had reached your limit so it
Yeah.
could stop, it didn't simply apply to adults. It applied to children too. It's across the board. So it's your child now that's on that table. And and it's now experiencing everything because they're coming out of the anesthesia. It there's
Well, the
so much.
anesthesiologists are begging you, don't do this.
Don't do this. Right.
And if they don't cooperate with the insurance companies, they're so powerful. These people could lose their licenses. Just keep on going down. Just keep on going down, because that's what they do. These people play hardball because
Mhm.
they are about making money.
Money. Bottom line.
Hey, I'm just saying to you, at some point you ought to say, this is unacceptable. Yeah, absolutely. It's a sin. This is awful, and it needs to stop. This is wicked. It's wicked. This is evil. You're going to do it to children and to the adults that the children become. You're evil.
Mhm.
That's the kind of industry that these people are angry about. So when you see these people trying to shame these people and shade them on TV and in the rest of corporate media, you need to respond and say, not so fast. Stop it. These people are in pain. When are you going to put them on TV and have them talk about how they were
Exactly.
denied? When are you going to do that? How about that? When are you going to let them tell their stories? Yeah, let them tell their stories. And we'll bring them on and I'm going to bring some folks on and let them hear their stories.
Mhm.
I know I've had my life saved because I've had a great advocate. Everybody doesn't have that, and that's what infuriates me. You know what? We pass out food every Christmas because my father had to stand in a food line, and you know he told us that story, and we never forgot it. My brother Congressman Jackson was about to be thrown out of a hospital because my parents didn't have enough money. My father called Dr. King in tears. He said, if they put my baby out, he's going to die because he's got a viral pneumonia that is literally eating his lung, and it eating about a third of his lung. Dr. King came in and saved his life. Really?
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm not telling you something that my family have not experienced, and I don't like that. I don't want to see anybody abused this way. And you need to fight. Yes, you are your brother and your sister's keeper. So, hey, WOL every Tuesday at 12 noon. Tune in to this freedom fighter. Attorney Daryl Jones and Attorney Barbara Online, because we got to talk about this, everybody, because we got to make this right. We've got to. We've got to make this right. And we can. We have the power. That's the beauty of the Constitution. For all of the flaws of the founding fathers, and they're human, get over that. They created a document that was so incredible that it left space for their imperfections and for us to perfect it and come up with a more perfect union. Let's get to work. I am not British. I'm not kissing any woman a man's ring. Y'all keep that. No, I bow to God, and that is it.
Amen.
Now, so y'all keep on going with this. I think Princess Diana was lovely, as long as she was over there. I'll throw a lovely party here, but she got to leave because I ain't spending my money to what? Uphold her while she owns me? Sweetie. And don't ever forget, yeah, she was mistreated by her husband. Sure, that was awful. But she was a royalist. She supported monarchy. She supported her children, her children's children, and all. I don't care if they are black or poor or partly black. She supported them ruling over you. I don't care what color they are. It ain't right.
Mhm.
I'm not feeling it. So, boom. That's what I said on that. So, yeah, I'll add more to it before I take anything away. So, boom, I'm done with that. So, sending you so much. Hey, love. No, I don't like seeing people treated this way, mistreated this way. It's not right. It's not right. And I just buried a girlfriend who had to fight with the insurance company. Just give me a week for my coverage to be picked back up, and you were going to deny her, and you know she's dying. No, y'all ain't right. No, and it happens all the time. And fortunately, she had some great advocates who said, "Don't you dare! I will sue you. If you want me to own the company, if you want her family to own the company, keep on here." Enough. But nobody's going to do this for you, everybody. You've got to do it for yourself. And we have to do it together. You can't do it for self. You have to do it for yourself. But you got to do it for everybody else and with everybody else. If you want to go far, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, you got to go with everybody. And that's what we need to do. We need to come together. These unnecessary divisions are foolish. They're foolish. Divided, we will fall. United, we can stand. We can make it together. And that's the way it's going to have to work. I love you, Daryl Jones. You have a wonderful one. Well, we're going to keep on. I'm going to reach out to you tomorrow because I think I read a very interesting article. AM 950 Radio, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm not going to tell you what we're going to talk about. He and I are going to get off here. You'll find out tomorrow. But I think we're going to talk about Kamala and what happened in that campaign. Really, really. AM 950 Radio, Voice of Progressive Minnesota. See you tomorrow.